Thank you for joining us here today on this rainy morning. My name is Jimmy Soto, and I served over 42 years wrongfully convicted in the IDOC. I'm the founding member of Build Communities Not Prisons and also a member of the No New Prisons Illinois campaign. Today we gather on tax day when the state of Illinois is asking us to put our money towards prisons. In March of 2024, Governor Pritzker and the Illinois Department of Correction announced plans to build 2 new prisons to replace Stateville and Logan prisons at a starting cost of $900 million, a number which will rise significantly in the upcoming years. We are here today to focus on striking the $900 million from the capital development budget for the proposed rebuilding of 2 prisons. And we are asking that our state legislators take note of that and don't vote for the budget. Despite a stunning lack of detail about the project, and despite the fact that our prisons are nowhere near capacity, the Illinois state legislature has approved funding for the project, now referred to as RISE IDOC, Rehabilitation and Restoration Inside Safe Environments. I find that a bit ironic. As part of the fiscal year 2025 and 2026 state capital budgets. The speakers you will hear from today will clearly show the following from the RISE IDOC budget. The budget is by no means a done deal. RISE IDOC is a high-cost, low-impact project. RISE IDOC is a misguided attempt at criminal justice reform. RISE IDOC lacks transparency and meaningful community engagement. Ultimately, RISE IDOC is a false promise to all the people of Illinois. In response to these concerns, the No New Prison campaign developed 4 demands, and they are as follows. 1, strike the $900 million from the new prisons from the Illinois budget. 2, reappropriate $900 million into community-directed, non-carceral infrastructure projects across Illinois. Right. Close Logan Prison and minimize harm during the closure process. Right. And 4, reduce the Illinois prison population through available mechanisms without expanding existing carceral infrastructures. The $900 million coming from infrastructure bonds means that taxpayers are gonna be on the hook now and in the future to pay back this amount. Not only will the bond interest skyrocket this price, but in September 2024, as part of the site assessment of Stateville Prison to determine if the site can accommodate 2 prisons, IDOC's own contracted assessment by CDM Smith projected the total project cost for the rebuilds will range from $1,435,300,000 to $2,174,000. Shame. In addition to the cost, there are questions around safety on environmental grounds. The construction of the new prisons at Stateville site raises serious environmental concerns because of the antiquated foundational structures which stood for more than 100 years. Bottom line, prisons are harmful to the environment. Currently, Northwestern School of Law in the Community Justice and Human Rights Clinic is exploring possible litigation around the environmental problem at Stateville. So we call on members of the Public Safety Infrastructure Committees in the House and Senate to seriously question the approval of these funds and to ultimately vote no. What do we want them to do? Vote no. It is my honor to welcome to the podium my friend and colleague Stanley Howard of the Uptown People's Law Center and No New Prisons, Illinois.
Hello everyone, good morning. My name is Stanley Howard. I am a prisoner rights advocate at Uptown People's Law Center. I served 39 years of incarceration and 16 years on Illinois' death row. I am here to demand that we do not spend $900 million on a new prison. I'm here to speak about the second demand of the No New Prison Campaign Illinois, which is to reappropriate the $900 million into community-directed, non-carceral infrastructure projects across Illinois. People currently incarcerated at Logan Prison and that were a part of the disruptive transfer from Stateville Prison offer these alternative visions to how we spend the almost $1 billion. My brother Michael Bell, he asked a question. A $450 million prison? I've never seen a $400 million high school. What if we spent it on 9 $100 million community education resource centers in underreserved communities? Mashonda Davis, she said that she would use the money towards re-entry because many people leaving prisons need help. And without security, there is recidivism. And we all know that. Money needs to go into transitional housing, recovery homes, mental health facilities, and domestic violence shelters for people upon release. I will work towards making prisons extinct. And that's a damn good idea.
That's right.
Chester McKinley says, if I had $900 million, I would invest in mental health services, healthcare resource for marginalized communities.
Yeah.
My brother Robbie Curry, he says that $900 million should be used to declare poverty on public health care crisis. Invest in curing the symptoms of poverty, which is violence, mass incarceration, political, economic, and educational equality, rather than building prisons to disappear marginalized communities and bodies. Michael Sutherland, instead of spending $900 million to rebuild 2 state prisons, our governor could use the principles of equity to address the inequalities that exist in undercurrent of our society. Illinois has environmental and social issues that should take precedence over rebuilding prisons. In Chicago, in some neighborhoods, there is a 15 to 25% unemployment rate, and 1 in 3 young people are high school dropouts.
That ain't right.
When we have a government that sees human caging as a priority over community building, this is a government that concerns us all. And we should shut it down. In addition to our community members inside, one of our campaign endorsers, First Followers, which is a formerly incarcerated entry organization based in Champaign, has called for development of a community resource center for decades. Not only does our community know the potential answers of where state infrastructure funds could be invested, but we have been advocating for solutions for years. Today, as we speak, our campaign partners such as Coalition to End Permanent Punishment, Challenge to Change, and Illinois Justice Project are in Springfield right now, fighting for the Home for Good bill. SB 4162. That's SB 4162. That will appropriate $50 million to put towards housing infrastructure and wraparound services for people being released from incarceration. I think that's a better solution than building 2 new prisons. So we urge the Governor J.B. Pritzker, and Illinois lawmakers to listen to the needs of the people that voted for him, to not and never and end the not never ending call to suspend our incarcerated system. Governor J.B. Pritzker, do the right thing. Get this over with.
Now, I'd like to introduce Anna Navarro from the Illinois Prison Project Ambassador, an associate board member, a former client of IPP, a woman who was formerly incarcerated, and a justice warrior. Please step to the podium, Anna.
Good morning, everyone. I am here to speak on the ways that IDOC has failed the woman in a transportation form and in the conditions of Logan Correctional Center. Right now, at this day and time, I cannot believe that in 3 years of me leaving IDOC, that has placed that I thought was horrible, it is 10 times worse. The females recently had to go a whole month and a half with a steam leak where their food was spoiling. They couldn't even step safely onto the grounds to get off their bunkers to go take a shower. And during these hot times, there was no relief from the heat. Technically, if there's been more than 3 days consecutively, they're supposed to shut down the heat. Did they do it? No. They waited till today to finally, April 15th, to shut down the heat steam leak in IDOC in Logan.
Right.
Constantly, the female are having the ceilings falling in. That is airborne asbestos, mold issues going on. The water system is failing. There's stuff coming out of the sinks and the drains, among other things. But guess what? In their mind is this the lesser two evils? Why? Because a lot of them have faced what it was to get transferred from the White to Logan in 2013. Do you want to live in conditions that are bad for your health? Or do you want to lose the little bit of stuff that you have left because you already lost half the stuff? Have your mail that you had from your family members, your TVs, your food, a bit of clothing. And unfortunately, a lot of those females in there have been locked up for more than 20 years. So that means either their family members unfortunately have passed away, or unfortunately, the reality is they haven't forgotten. So they don't know what to do. They're constantly in turmoil as, do we want to stay in Logan, or do we want to get transferred and lose what we have and and go through these times? Why? Because when we got transferred, it took them 2 weeks to regulate medications. So you were not getting your nighttime meds that you're supposed to get at 8 o'clock at night till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And then get back and get your other medication at 10 o'clock in the morning. You didn't have the time period in there. They didn't have no female hygiene products when we arrived there. There was piss and shit smeared on the walls from the men. They literally acted like didn't know we were arriving there. We were treated with hostility because the staff guards didn't want us females there. And then that goes again with the trauma of the unknown, the trauma of control. And a lot of people in there have PTSD and other traumas from their upbringings of the unknown, the climates, the control of everything in them. And this is a re-traumatizing environment with being transferred. But again, they don't want to stay there. It's deplorable. That prison was condemned before the females were moved there. Half of it was condemned when the man was there. It was unlivable, and it is even more now since all this time has passed. And I'm here to speak up for them because somebody needs to, because we need to know about these conditions and know how they're afraid they are, but they don't know where to choose. I'm here to ask for Logan to be shut down and not rebuild. And if you do transfer the woman, to make sure you are doing it with them in mind in a very safe and harmless manner. Thank you.
Now I'd like to introduce Andrea Dantes from Impact for Equity. Andrea, you come to the stand.
Good morning, everyone. My name's Andrea Dantes. I work at Impact for Equity, which is part of the No New Prisons campaign and the Credit for Change campaign. Illinois does not need new prisons. And we need to increase pathways for people to be released from serving very long sentences. Here's a snapshot of the Illinois prison system. In 1980, Illinois' prison population was about 12,000. By 2013, it had grown to almost 50,000. That dramatic increase was driven by policy choices. Laws like mandatory minimums, eliminating parole, and implementing truth in sentencing required people to serve longer sentences and limited opportunities for release, and greatly reduced the incentives for rehabilitation. While the overall population has declined since then, those same sentencing laws that led to mass incarceration are still on the books. That means thousands of people are aging behind bars today, serving long sentences with little opportunity or no opportunity to earn their way home. If we're serious about public safety, we have to change our approach. We cannot just replicate the dated practices of the 70s, 80s, and 90s. We have to do something different, and we have to ask different questions.
Right.
Not how long can we keep people in prison, but when is it safe to bring them home? Safely bringing people home actually strengthens communities. And that's where Credit for Change comes in. Credit for Change would allow everyone serving a term of years to earn time off their sentences through good behavior and participation in rehabilitative programming. It reinstates a system where people have incentives to take accountability and to prepare for a successful return home from the day they start their sentence. We need Credit for Change, first, because people can and do change, especially when given meaningful opportunities to do so. Second, more than anything, many crime survivors want to ensure real accountability and behavioral change so that the person who hurt them does not hurt anyone ever again. That requires access to rehabilitation from the very beginning. Third, financially, this policy makes sense. The Illinois Sentencing Policy Advisory Council estimates that Credit for Change could save nearly $1 billion over 3 years. Resources that could be reinvested into things that actually prevent harm, like housing, education, and reentry support. Fourth, our prison system is under strain. IDOC has faced staffing shortages for decades. Safely releasing people would reduce lockdowns and improve safety for everyone living and working in prisons. Building more prisons would do nothing to address those issues.
That's right.
True public safety comes from making sure that when people return home, they're prepared to succeed. We cannot continue to rely on decades-long sentences that ignored growth, drain public resources, and don't make us safer. It's time to move toward an approach that prioritizes release, real rehabilitation, and accountability by supporting Credit for Change and other non-carceral mechanisms for release. Thank you.
So now I'd like to call April Ward from Mamas to the podium.
All right. Good morning, everyone. My name is April Ward, and I am a member of the Mamas of the Kidnap Collective. My son, Mikael Ward, has been incarcerated since 2013. We are calling on Illinois to reduce the prison population through all available mechanisms without expanding existing carceral infrastructure. By that, we mean instead of building more prisons, we need to be letting people out, returning people to their loved ones and communities. We want to do that without giving more power to resources to IDOC. Governor Pritzker wants to position himself as caring about the safety and well-being of people in Illinois, about our families and kids. But what about all the families who are kept separated by prisons? Pritzker has the power to let people out of prison, and he's not using it. A FOIA request we made last year showed that there are hundreds of open clemency petitions, many dating back to 2020. My son and several of the other mamas' sons have all filed petitions and gotten no response. Many of the people who are incarcerated in Logan also have petitions just sitting on Pritzker's desk. Governor Pritzker can say yes or no so that people can move forward with their lives. What's the purpose of having a clemency review board making recommendations if there is no follow through?
That's right.
By refusing to act, the governor is keeping people in limbo. And that's not right. This is not new. We've been on him for years and haven't seen any change. Mamas even went to the United Nations, who issued a report in 2024 urging Pritzker to use his power and take action in response to decades of police torture and racism in the courts and prison systems. And he has continued to ignore the issues. And the people out here are demanding change. There is also no transparency or system of accountability with the clemency process, which is exactly what we have across the IDOC. Our loved ones are constantly dealing with negligence, violence in the prisons, being put on lockdown, not receiving medical care, being denied visits, mail, facing abuse from the staff. Why you gotta get beat up by the staff? That's not right. These are things that not only impact the people who are looked up, they also take a huge toll on us as mothers and family members, emotionally, physically, financially. It impacts all areas of our lives on the outside too, and there is nobody held responsible for any of it. Nobody to put a stop to it. Governor Pritzker could. He could reunite hundreds of families with the stroke of a pen, but he's refusing to act, and that ain't right.
All right.
Over the last 2 decades, I've watched them take schools, communities, centers, and parks out of our neighborhoods. The YMCA, the summer job programs, I know everybody remember that. The positive things for our youth to get involved are all gone. It's dead in our communities, and we try to bring these back. It seems like the state and the city are fighting us. Instead of building new prisons, we need to focus on building things like housing, centers for job training, health clinics, schools, recreations, entertainment, not only for the people coming out of prison, for all of us to actually make our community healthy and strong. And I want to see resources made publicly and available all over the community, not just available to hand-selected few. They say we don't have enough money to do these things, but there's somehow $900 million to build prisons. Make it make sense. Governor Pritzker, you must do everything in your power to bring our loved ones home and truly invest in the people of Illinois. Sign these clemency petitions. Reunite our families. Resource our communities, and don't build any more prisons.
There are far too many mothers that have been incarcerated for decades, and Mother's Day is coming up, and so many mothers are suffering because their loved ones have been incarcerated, and the weight of having to deal with that is tremendous. I'd like to thank you all for coming out here. We will be going down to Springfield on April 29th, on May 13th. Join the campaign by emailing us at nonewprisons.il@protonmail.com. And I just want to say, Governor Pritzker and to the state legislator, do not vote, do not have us invest in new prisons. We don't need them, we don't want them. No new prisons, no new prisons, no new prisons, no new prisons, no new prisons.
No new prisons. No new prisons. No new prisons. No new prisons. No new prisons. No new prisons. We don't want the prisons built. Close the wall and don't rebuild.